Hello and welcome. I'm Patrick Curtis, Chief Monkey of Wall Street Oasis, and this is Monkey to Millions, a show where you get a front row seat as I mentor young students and professionals to try and help them break into their dream jobs. In the first cohort, you'll meet 4 students, all preparing for intense job interviews while trying to also balance a personal life and schoolwork. The goal of this show is to shine a light on the struggles of trying to break into competitive positions with a non traditional background and to give you a roadmap for your own success. My hope is that as you get to know these 4 impressive students, you are inspired to dream big. Remember, these are real people and this is their true story. Let's get to it. In this session, Andrew shares the new reality faced by many students coming into internships this summer and how his firm is dealing with COVID-19. We explore how he can make his time at home productive, and I sound like a broken record, trying to get him to ramp up his networking efforts rather than dial it back. Enjoy. All right, Andrew, welcome to April 8th. Kind of a crazy month since we last spoke. I think when we spoke last, was it like early March? Or
I
something?
think it was either early March or late February, one of the two.
Yeah, so things hadn't really kind of
Hit the fan, yeah.
gone crazy like they have since then. So yeah, I'd love to just get an update from you. I think you've been sending in the weekly updates, anyways, but just to
Just a
recap.
recap.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. So since the last call, like I started like all my New York outreaches, even had a few calls, like a few guys who went to like Columbia masters in like real estate that were like originally from Montreal, and they actually thought that I went to school in Montreal, but I'm not going to correct them. Um, so yeah, I had a few like general calls like that. Nothing huge in terms of like them like knowing about positions, and especially like given the circumstances, it was right around the time of like COVID just destroying pretty much all hopes. Um, but yeah, since then, like school kind of shut down and moved to like a pass fail system, and it's just kind of like throwing in last minute projects. And um, yeah, just got word from summer internship yesterday that they'd be moving to work from home for the first month until like June. For that's like its tentative basis, and then
yeah. I mean, because
they
that internship was supposed to start in May, right? Super early.
yeah, so it would be their plan is work from home till like June, kind of see where everything's at then, and then move into the office. So, I mean, that would be perfect, but like I had to cancel my residence in Toronto, just because of that. Like the residents basically gave me like a 2 day like ability to get a refund for the whole summer. So I was like, may as well. But now, like the only thing is, if I actually have to go there, it would just be like getting an Airbnb or something, or
You got to just
figuring
figure it
something
out.
out.
Yeah, you could. I'm sure there's going to be capacity.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think you're gonna have a
Those,
trouble getting a good deal on an apartment or whatnot.
yeah. Well, I was supposed to go with a few guys from like my school there and just stay in the residence, but I'm sure they'd accommodate. There's really no way around that. And yeah, so kind of besides that, just yeah, finishing up courses, finished my real estate modeling course, and then I'm gonna move into like my real estate investment banking specific course that's not even mine. I just have to log in for it. So um just gonna plug away at that and just I guess keep busy till the start of the internship.
Has it been like, I know you said like you're really focused on the real estate stuff. Are you gonna get exposed to that on the internship, you think?
Yeah, so I'm in the real estate group,
Yeah. So you're
specifically.
basically you're going real estate. Like there's no coming back now.
Yeah,
Which is
I think
cool.
I've committed to. Yeah.
which is
So
which is really cool. So I think it's interesting because the real estate forum has, I don't know if I told you, it's like the second most active forum on WSL right now behind IB.
yeah, I've been posting a few things too, just in terms because I know there's like a few people even asking about like Canada specific. They're like, should I go like a pension fund or
Yeah.
like this other fund? And like being at a pension fund, I know like what the deal flow is like, what they're actually like doing in the job, and honestly, like it's better to be at a smaller shop, in my opinion, at least.
Interesting. Yeah, no, the activity on Wall Street Oasis has surged in the last week or two, to the point where I think this is the highest it's ever been in April.
Hmm.
In terms of like active users. I think it's just nuts. It's all over the place. Like it was funny because middle March, it kind of like dropped. I think when the whole market was just collapsing, everyone was checking their
Hmm.
portfolios, trying to figure out what to do. And then once things kind of settled in and like people realized, wait, I actually am going to be stuck at home for a while.
Yeah.
WSO became a nice distraction.
Oh, for sure.
um, so it's been interesting to see that whole progression's been really odd to see. Like, normally
Hmm.
our traffic's like very predictable like this, and then it was
It
like
just
down,
spiked.
like spiked.
Yeah.
Like what is going? It's totally unpredictable right now. But yeah, anyway, so okay, so it sounds like they've made initial kind of contingency plans through May. Um,
Mhm.
Hopefully you can get some experience still. Hopefully it's not just a joke, working.
Yeah, that's at least what I'm hoping. I know like some like the bulge brackets are going to like a 4-week internship with guaranteed offers. So I
Yeah,
don't know how intense
positive.
that would be.
Yeah, the positive news is there are a lot of like kind of guaranteed offers. The downside of that for you is if you don't get that deal,
Hmm.
or if they cut back, then a lot of the interns, there may not be as many lateral positions
Yeah.
at the end of this summer, for like trying to fill their last few slots.
Hmm.
If anything, they're going to probably feel like they're a little bit too, um, like they've hired too many people.
Hmm.
If this drags out longer than expected. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say probably nothing even returning to normal or semi-normal till like mid-May, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Like, and that's going to be probably like, okay, you don't have to, no, not everybody has to stay at home, but like restaurants can have like 20% capacity or something like
Hmm.
that. You know what I mean? And maybe certain schools can come back with, certain guidelines in place. But until
Yeah.
testing ramps, man, it's going to be tough.
No, definitely.
So, so yeah, tell me about the networking. Have you? I mean, now that you've kind of probably settled in, are you living at home now?
Yeah. Yeah. Just living at home. Got 3 monitors set up here. So I mean,
You've been
in
trading a lot,
terms of no. In terms of like, I don't
trading.
know, I'd be prepped to work. I've got like podcasts on like one screen on like YouTube, like LinkedIn, my Outlook. So that's pretty
Nice.
much it. It's
Maybe
the
you could help me.
situation.
I'm thinking of going to a multi-monitor setup. Do you have a?
Yeah.
You have one in portrait,
Um,
or
no, I don't.
they're all like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I'd be curious to hear what you set up on it. So you say like on one you have like all your communication, like social media, and another one you have like your
Hmm.
work.
Yeah, I can like shoot you a message or like a picture message. I think I got a Skype on my phone, so
Maybe
I'll shoot you that at the end
maybe
of the call.
maybe you could teach me something in terms of productivity. um, Very cool. So the networking itself, though, tell me about that, the pace of that in terms of New York. Are you still kind of going to try to actively
I
uh,
mean,
push
like
in?
I've been advised to like not reach out as much, just given the fact that everyone's got so much more on their plate and they aren't like as willing to hop on a call.
I
And
disagree.
I've kind of,
I
well,
disagree.
I've kind of seen that in like the efforts. Like some guys would take like 3 weeks to get back, and they're
Well,
like,
I think if you're
I'm
talking,
sure you understand.
yeah, if you're talking about 3 weeks ago, yes. I think
Yeah,
now as we settle into the reality, people
it
actually
could
have
be
a ton of
better.
time. People have a ton
Yeah,
at home. They're craving like some sort of human interaction.
yeah,
Like outside their family. So I think it can be good.
yeah.
Actually a really good time as long as you're doing it with like you're not like following up a week later, like, hey, what's going on? Or like 2 weeks later, like extend out any sort of follow up significant.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
like you'd reach out once, you don't hear from them, just keep going and wait like a good 6 to 8 weeks before
yeah.
pinging them again.
Got it.
So I think it's just more being more respectful of like the unresponsiveness
Yeah,
and
got it.
making mention of specifically like I know things have been crazy. I'm not looking for I'm not looking for a I think John I was talking to him yesterday about how he's been networking through this, but just basically he's saying like I'm not looking, I know everything's done, I know recruiting's done, I already have an internship lined up, I'm just really more interested in hearing about your path and
Hmm.
you know what it's like at XYZ firm.
Yeah. And like the ones that I did have calls with like were really receptive and they went like really deep into their backgrounds. Like one of the guys was talking about like so he was doing like real estate development for like the like for New York City or whatever.
Hmm.
And he was talking about his time in like student government at McGill,
Wow,
like really going
way
deep
back.
into it. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And the more you can make it a conversation like that, where they're like reminiscing or talking about this stuff, I think that's good because it builds a nice connection, and they're going to
Hmm.
remember that conversation fondly, like
Yeah.
when you ping them again.
Oh,
Uh,
for sure.
so I think do you have a good list of people in New York now that how many calls do you think you've done with New York people? Like 10,
Like, yeah, like
five?
five or
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Not too many, but
if you can scale that up by like midsummer, like say June, July, and you're
hmm
in the office in Toronto, you can be like, oh, we're finally here, back in the office. Hope things are doing well, going well there.
yeah.
Give you an update. Things are going well here. Um, you know, I don't know, make some sort of reason to reach out or give them an update
hmm
on what you're doing, like the types of deals you're working on. Uh,
Yeah.
you can say, I don't know what your timeline looks for like your own hires personally, but it might make sense to stay in touch later in the summer.
hmm
And so you keep that, I would say, doing the work you do now, then you're kind of priming kind of the early to midsummer reach out
Yeah.
so that
It's just the footwork now, basically.
it's the footwork now so that it's a second contact in midsummer, like a little update with like the types of deals you're working on, what you've been up to, and then
hmm
end of summer, hope all is well, maybe make a comment around something that you guys talked about, and then end of summer it's kind of like, oh, I got a return offer, I'm thinking of this, da, 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 or there is no return offer here, was curious about
hmm
what's going on at your shop, and da, da, da. And then
Okay.
it's a lot more warm, and the hit rates on those where you've had a couple touch points already is going to be 80+%, not in terms of getting an offer, but in terms of just getting a response.
Yeah.
And
And then they could probably put me in touch with someone who can put me in touch with someone, and it just goes on.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think um, important to just try and build that, especially if you're going to try to make it down to New York. It doesn't have to be just New York. I mean, what about Toronto? You have a pretty good network there, right?
Yeah.
Just
That's a lot better than New York for sure.
just keeping that warm too. Um,
hmm
so I would say, like an early, when I say midsummer, probably like June-ish, like when you get back in the office and you have something to say to them, just give them a short, like 2-line update and say, ask them how everything's going there, how are things back to normal, just trying to make it a little more of a conversation.
hmm
Um, and then, that way you're done in August, right?
Yeah. End of August.
End of August is really long. So I think,
Yeah.
you know, mid-August, once you have an idea if you're getting like a return offer or whatnot, once they communicate to you, that's got to be like a surge of emails going out because you're only going to have like say 3 to 4 weeks to know what's going on from your current. I mean, you expect to get a full-time offer, right?
Yeah.
So if you get that, it might be a great option for you if you enjoy your time there this summer.
hmm
Um, but I don't know. Do you have any knowledge about specifically like other real estate, private equity? Do you know kind of if you want to go buy side, sell side? Like what's your thought process? Because this
Um,
this is a sell side shop, right?
yeah. Yeah. So like as of now, like my plan would be to go full time here, maybe
Hmm.
like a year or two, typical like analyst stint, and see how I like it, and
Yep.
either move up or leave. And like kind of if I were to leave, like I know a lot of the spots in Canada, but kind of like it's such a small community that
Yeah.
I think it would be well worth it to start digging into the states a little more. Like there's some developers like Hines, like
Hmm.
Greystone, or not Greystone, Greystar. Um, but there's like a ton of different firms out there. It would just be getting the connections there and just
Starting
the
to
same
build those.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
starting to build those for that, even that transition 2 years out,
hmm
or 3 years out.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
yeah, because I mean, it happens so early nowadays. I mean, I don't think real estate, PE, and really those developers. I don't think it's like on an on-cycle PE recruiting where they're recruiting you straight after, right when you start
Yeah.
your IB stint. But yeah, anything you can do on the front end here is going to pay big dividends in a couple of years.
hmm
So That's cool. Any sort of fallback plan? Let's say things don't go well. Let's say COVID, that you guys can't go back for June, July. The
Hmm.
economy's tanking, and they say, "Sorry, we can't give you a full-time offer." What's the thought
Yeah,
process?
well, I already have like I've had this job in like the back of my pockets. The same thing. It's like with the federal government, it's doing like business equity valuations
Hmm.
for like income tax purposes.
Okay,
So essentially, they're running like DCFs on like private companies, and it's pretty much trying to spit out a number for like what the per share basis is for the private owners of it, and it like
and pay tax on that.
yeah, what they would pay taxes for. But that's like its own division within like the federal government. Like I
Okay,
think base pay is like 70 to 75K, and you're working maybe like 35 hours a week.
so that's nice. You could do some
Yeah,
side projects with that, and you could
exactly.
do a
Like
lot. You could do a lot of
that.
networking.
Oh, like that's kind of been like my fallback plan, like kind of through since I did my first internship there. So
Okay, and you
it
kind of
wouldn't be
have
too
that
bad.
potentially in your back
Yeah,
pocket.
yeah,
Oh,
for
that's great,
sure.
man. That's an amazing option. I mean, don't underestimate the fact that you're getting a paid high hourly rate and you have a ton of free time to do other things.
Hmm.
Whether that's doing a startup on the side, whether that's just networking your ass off and just until you find the perfect opportunity to jump in a year or two. If you want it,
Yeah.
I mean, it's up
Oh,
to you.
definitely.
But
It's just something in my back pocket for sure.
no, that's great. That's good to hear. And then yeah, I guess in terms of number of hours, like how much time are you putting right now per week with school? I know it's probably like not as much. And then with other stuff, with the courses you're taking online, that's good.
Hmm.
And then like the networking, what would you say the split is right now?
Uh, I'm not even sure of the split, but like kind of on like the per day, I'd say like the courses I was doing probably like a quarter of the day, like LinkedIn, like 10%, and then school and kind of just like moving out of like my old apartment and like getting things rearranged is kind of just take up the remainder. So
Got it.
that's kind of been it for now.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think are you hitting if I look at your LinkedIn, how many connections are we up to now?
Like 530, give or take. So it's definitely not up there by any means,
You got to
but
get over 1,000. Yeah,
I can bet that it would be over 1,000 by
by next month.
mid June
By
or
mid June,
early June.
you can do better than that, dude. I'm telling you, you can do better than that. Like John, who's been hustling, he's been doing it for like a month. He skyrocketed. I mean, you can do 100 connections a day.
Hmm.
And the only downside is you just may get filled. Your calendar may get filled up with calls.
Hmm.
So you may have to talk to old people like me longer than for a big part for several hours a day. But I wish somebody had told me this earlier. Like I wasn't as aggressive as I should have been. Like
Hmm.
it's really all about who you know. It really,
Yeah.
it really is. And so I don't want you to, you know, go on LinkedIn for 30 minutes a day, request 20 people, and think like that's good enough.
Hmm.
Because it's not going to flow the number. It's just a numbers game. It's not going to. The funnel is not. You're not feeding the top of the funnel enough to actually develop
Hmm.
a strong relationships. So the difference between 10 and 20 requests a day versus 100 a day is 10x.
Hmm.
And that means 10x flowing all the way down. So that means instead of, you know, 2 calls a week, you're getting 15 calls a week. It sounds
Hmm.
crazy. Like, why would I be doing that right now? It's actually a great time to be doing it right now. People are home, they have time. They, especially when you don't need anything. This is the time when it's the hardest to motivate, but it's actually the easiest time to network because you're not asking for anything right now. It's just
Yeah.
truly getting to know them. It's truly genuine. It's truly about building relationships. It's actually um, it's actually a time when people want to kind of like maybe you can talk about people who went through the 2008 financial crisis. What was that like? Learning a
Hmm.
little bit about that, learning a little bit about how they position themselves, um, especially in the real estate side. I don't know. Some pretty interesting things happened. I
Yeah.
read that a third of people like miss rent in the U.S. In April.
Hmm.
Like, how is that gonna trickle through?
um, the real estate the developers and the landlords.
Yeah.
Probably pretty dramatic. But yeah, I think the more aggressive you can get on it, man, the more like just doing it, if it's really painful for you, maybe like if you're going to the gym in the morning, or not, obviously you can't go to the gym, but if you're working out in the morning, doing this like either right after or right before for an hour,
Yeah.
just getting it out of the way, I think would be a good way to kind of just stay steady with it. Because it's not
And
going to
just build it into the routine or whatever.
build it in the routine, because it's something that literally, if you do this, literally, I can almost guarantee in a year or two, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that one connection I made was like just
Hmm.
a massive win. Um, and if you don't do it, guess what? You'll be fine too, but you won't have as many options. You won't have potentially that huge game changing career change.
Yeah. I got it.
It just won't be there because you just didn't put in the work. And so like, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's out there if you're not talking to people.
Hmm.
Um, and like the number of opportunities that open up to you with each additional request you send out, each additional conversation you have. Because like, so the connection request is just a way to get calls and build relationships. That's it.
Yeah.
So when we say networking, I always hate the word networking, because it's like it's implying like, oh, I'm working this conversation with you and I'm trying to like get
Hmm.
something out of it, instead of like, let me actually understand who you are. Let me see if I can add value to you. Let me see if I can, if there's anything I can do. So
Yeah.
take an actual interest in them, like take good notes when you're on the calls with them. See if there's stuff that, pops into your head, like you're reading about something and it's relevant to what they were doing or deals they were on.
Hmm.
That type of stuff. I think it's really important to foster that. And then if
Yeah.
you're able to do that, with, say, like, let's say you reach out to, in the next few months, you reach out to, I'm going to throw out a number, let's say 100 a day. Let's say you reach out to, 30, connection request 3,000 people, 800 people connect with you, and, 100 people get on a call with you,
Hmm.
or 80 people get on a call with you, or 60 people get on a call with you. And out of those 20, you develop really good relationships with.
Hmm.
That's a super strong foundation now. But you see
Yeah.
how big the funnel has to be at the top
Yeah.
to get to that.
No, for sure.
So, I know we've talked about it a lot. I just want to make sure that like, um, that you try to like work it into your schedule, because, um, you won't see it now, and like you don't see a lot of the value of it now. But I promise you, in several years, like having built that up, especially if you lose your job,
Hmm.
especially if unexpectedly you lose your job, like your network's everything. Like if you're going in cold, if you need something and you're networking, or you're unemployed and you're networking, it is hard. People can smell that from a mile away. And
Hmm.
like they're like, oh gosh, I don't have anything, man. Sorry, I can't do it. Whereas if you've already built up that conversation and you're like, hey man, I got, do you know anybody? They're like, oh shit, like Andrew, yeah, I remember chatting with that guy a couple times. Oh, he's so nice and da da da. They're gonna try to
Hmm.
pull stuff for you.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little insurance policy to have that big network, and an actual real network. And it's also an incredible. It's both insurance and it's incredible, option value, for the upside. So like totally outsized returns based on, that one connection. The problem is you don't know which one it's going to be, right?
Hmm.
So I think a good thing that John's been doing, is he goes to a state school. So he started off with like all the California state schools, and he went through that.
Hmm.
So that was they were really people were really receptive about that. And then now he's like, "What should I do next?" I'm like, "Just hit any state school." And so he's starting to do that, like going to Michigan, and he's gotten some great. He said he's gotten some great calls, like people already talking about like, well, in a couple of years, I help bring lateral IB analysts over to Harris Williams. So he's talking about that to me. So like, if he can get any sort of job, and he has, an internship kind of lined up right now,
Hmm.
for when he graduates, that has a good chance of converting to full time. And I basically told him, even if you have to work for basically free, or like $10 an hour or $8 an hour, you take that job, because once you have that a few deals on your resume, you can make a lateral jump to a very strong middle market bank like a Harris Williams, a Houlihan, or whatever, and then you're off to.
Hmm.
Um, And so, yeah, he got that, but he's been getting super aggressive with it. I've been like hammering him too with it. I think it's uncomfortable, right? It's like uncomfortable. It's a little bit awkward. But just think of it as a way of like, you're just having conversations and get comfortable with that.
Yeah.
You know,
No, for sure.
get comfortable with that, because it's going to be one of the most valuable skills you ever learn, even if you're never directly in sales.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sounds good.
You're
Kind of like
always
one.
going to be selling yourself for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You're going to be selling your skills. You're going to be selling everything. So like, the more kind of people that know of you and the brand that you build early on in your career, the easier you're going to be able to lateral, to move, to jump, to jump up and across. It's just going to give you so much more flexibility. So it's really like, think of a kid who freshman year starts, and by the time he graduates, he knows he's had 500 conversations or 1,000 conversations. And think of the kid who's kind of shy and just doesn't bother and thinks this networking thing is a joke, and he has 10 to 20 conversations over those 4 years. Kid with the 500 conversations, he just has a whole world open to him, a whole world of mentors that he can tap. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a rant, but it doesn't take that much work. Just listen to people talk about themselves, really.
Yeah.
And you might actually be able to learn a lot about the industries and the different nuances and stuff like that, which is cool.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, what else is going on? So, I mean, you're home, things are kind of getting settled in, it sounds like.
Yeah. Pretty much like kind of my only thing right now is like with school kind of like moving online and everything, and say like this is still bad in like September. So would you like recommend like pushing graduation back like another 4 months? I think we'd like earlier discussed like May of 21.
Like,
Would you still say that's safe,
putting
or
you on
like push it back further?
putting you on cycle, you mean? Well, you're already on cycle. You'd be graduating in May. I would try to stay there. I mean, I don't know.
Stay on the cycle.
It depends on your internship, really. If they're like, hey, we want you to start, then yeah, just finish.
Okay.
And even though I'm no epidemiologist or doctor, and I know very little about the spread of disease, my guess, just based looking on numbers, is, like I said, we're probably not back to any sort of normal state till mid-May. And even then, it's going to be like it's going to be a slow process until testing is ramped. And once testing is ramped, you have a lot more options, because you can start kind of quarantining, and the people who, when there is kind of a little mini outbreak, you can quickly shut things down locally, rather than it being like everyone shut down everything.
Got it.
So I think that hopefully by year end is what's happening. And like, we're kind of, there's the article, I'm sure you read it, the hammer and the dance. Have you read that article?
No, I don't think I have.
The hammer is like basically all about flattening the curve and doing
Oh, okay.
down. The dance is, once you actually start relaxing things again, cases are going to go back up and surge. So the question is, you got to keep it down below, the growth factor of 1, so that's not exponentially growing. And so I think that dance it's going to be really interesting. In order to do that dance and win at that dance, you basically have to have testing ramped, so that what the true growth factor is. So if like if people go back to school, let's say you go back to school in September, and then in Toronto, there's another big outbreak, it starts kind of scaling up, and then boom, everyone has to go work from home and online again.
Yeah.
So, so it might be a little bit of like this staggered start, stop, which is going to be pretty rough for the economy. But hopefully something we can contain.
Yeah.
So how can I be helpful? What else?
Kind of like, as of now, like you work from home pretty much all the time. So like, what are like some tricks and tips of the game like that you would?
Well, I'm not used to it, because like my kids are now all home all day. So
yeah.
I actually had to get a lock on my door, because they were just busting in on like all these calls and like doing their own thing. But no, I think routine is huge. Like, if you can just book your calendar up so that you have to wake up for in the morning, that's big, because otherwise it's like, you can be online, Netflix, everything. Like, you can be like, just you get into a bad pattern of like health and anxiety, reading the news all day, every day. Like I think it's good to have a little bit, and be up to date, but looking at it for 5 hours and reviewing the same numbers for 5 hours
Mm-hmm.
does nobody any good for anxiety and stuff. So you got to take care of your mental health.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, I'd say just setting a routine is key. Having some goals each day and each week would be big for you, especially with being more unstructured. I think it's easier for me when I have a whole team to manage and people are like pinging me and asking me questions like I don't have an option but to be on. Whereas where you have like online classes, there's a lot more distractions. You got 3 monitors. You know what I mean? It's harder.
Yeah.
So I would definitely try to like get the painful stuff out of the way in the morning.
Yeah.
Before
sure.
and then give yourself like reward. Give yourself an afternoon of rewards if you're really, really productive in the morning. That'll probably make you much more productive.
Yeah, no, for sure. That sounds good.
And then the other stuff, man, in terms of the networking, I know it's a broken record and stuff like that. I just really want you to appreciate like the outsized returns you can get from it, and take it seriously, because it's something that I can almost guarantee if you put in the work now, and the people you meet now are going to be in some way, shape, or form, especially if your class is pretty small in this internship class. Like how many people are going to be joining with you? Like 10?
I think it's like 5.
Yeah, 5 people. Like, so you don't have the benefit of working at a bulge bracket internship or bulge bracket bank, where you have an automatic network of 100 other analysts that are going to scatter in a few years at all the top private equity firms. You don't have that. So it's even more important that you put in the work.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, the 12 or so analysts that I started with at Rothschild, like a couple of them are still good friends. One like saved my ass when I got fired. Like that, those networks mattered. So,
oh yeah.
And that was only 12 people. If I had been smarter about it, I would have been building other relationships at other banks and stuff earlier. But when you're young, it's tough to convince. It's tough to convince people that it's important. So
yeah.
But anyways, I think, and then it sounds like you're spending your time productively. You're doing some courses, online courses, which is good. Awesome, man. It's good stuff. Anything else? I think that's it from my side, man. I don't want to keep repeating myself.
Yeah, I think we've covered quite a lot of it. Yeah, I look forward to kind of doing like the next call where I've actually started and kind of like what I'm actually sinking my teeth into. I think that'd be really cool to like put out there,
Yeah, for sure. Let's see if you can get yourself up over 1,000 connections.
Yeah, no, I gotta definitely hit the.
Yeah, do you use Sales Navigator?
On that.
Do you use?
I don't use that.
Okay, yeah. So I can share my screen, and just give you some ideas. So I think we did this, didn't we? Or no?
Yeah.
Like Sales Nav, just literally hit up anybody. Well, you kind of started doing it, I guess. You already know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just hitting up that and like attacking it every day. I think just at least 20, man. At least 20 connection requests a day. Because it's the same copy paste thing for like if you're hitting up the same type of people, that literally will take you 10 minutes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like 10 minutes a day. That's the only thing I'll request of you for this month.
Yeah, I'll get on the connection train and then hopefully be.
And in your message, you just got to be sensitive. Be like, I know it's crazy times right now. Totally understand if you can't talk. I just wanted to, I already have an internship lined up. I just was curious to learn more about your path and XYZ firm. That's all you have to say.
Yep. Awesome.
And that'll get you a long way. I think you'll get a lot more calls than you think.
I hope so. Yeah. I think it'd be good.
Cool, man. Well, listen, stay in touch. Ping me if there's any questions or anything changes with your internship and you need any advice. Then yeah, we'll stay in touch over this next month, and I'll talk to you, I guess, in early May. Hopefully, at that point, your internship has kicked off and you'll be from home. But hopefully they can give you some real experience.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. All right, we'll chat soon.
All right, awesome. Chat
Okay,
soon.
bye.
And thanks to you, my listeners at Wall Street Oasis. If you have any suggestions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to send them my way, Patrick at wallstreetoasis.com. Until next time.